Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Digits ICT Solutions, and today we're going to be talking about Apple and their outright deceptive business practices, how they treat their customers, and how they treat repair technicians like Rossmann, Jessa Jones, and people like me and anyone else that does third-party repair. As you probably are aware, in America there was a news piece on CBC about Apple caught lying to customers, and I would like us to first take a look at that. I'll skim through most of the parts just so you can sort of get an idea, and we will comment on the video as we go along. So here it starts.
Its customers are fiercely loyal. When it comes to computers and electronic gadgets, they tend to buy nothing else. And that's the thing. Their favorite brand is now widely accused of deceptive business practices, and many of those loyal customers are feeling ripped off. Tonight, Terrence McKenna meets some of the people who are attacking the Apple empire.
I don't get all this high-fiving business
This
though.
is the image of an Apple store that the company wants you to see. Masses of customers hungry for the latest product. Knowledgeable young staffers eager to serve them.
Now let's get to the let's see if we can cut to the chase with this MacBook.
First to buy a brilliant new device. Wildly overcharged for repairs in Apple stores.
So they're going to go undercover now.
We decided to use a hidden camera to verify many reports that Apple customers are often told their malfunctioning computers are not worth fixing.
Yep, get it from my customers all the time. They tell me that Apple have done this to them.
I have an appointment at 2:30. Come with me.
Our team came to a Toronto Apple store with a MacBook computer that had a common problem. The screen had stopped working.
It's like very dim when I try to turn it on.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll jump out the back and have a look on the inside.
Sure.
Fair enough, nothing wrong with that. But what did he actually check?
So there's a lot of liquid that's gotten on the inside. So I took a little picture. The little red dots here, they're normally white, and it means that they've come in contact with liquid. So for it to be basically all over the whole computer, it means that something's gone through the whole...
Bear in mind those liquid sensor indicators can be tripped from being in a high humidity environment or high humid environment.
Are you sure could it be something else as well?
Well, regardless of what the cause of it is, if it isn't the liquid, we have to fix the liquid. So it's not, like we can't do partial repairs when it's been damaged.
Can't do partial repairs.
So what are my options now?
Well, what I was going to say is basically all the components that we need to replace is going to cost more than $1,000. So
To fix it entirely will cost more than $1,000?
yeah. So the very least we'd need to replace is the logic board and the top case. So that we're looking at $600 plus $500, doing $1,100 with a labor of $100. And then if we need to replace
So
the
even if you
display
replace
as
the whole
well,
logic
that's
board,
another
why would you replace the whole top case?
So the display we may not need to replace, but we're still looking at a total of around $1,200 there.
Wow.
$1,200.
So just to be
An
clear,
absolute rip-off.
there's no cheaper
And that's without the cost of the
alternative
screen.
for this?
I mean, that cost is very close to the cost of buying a new computer. In terms of fixing it in the store, no.
Many Apple customers have shared similar experiences,
So
we decided to double-check the diagnosis. On First Avenue in Manhattan, there is a small computer repair store run by Rossmann. He started fixing computers in college and now makes YouTube videos teaching people how to repair complex items.
Overall, Apple tries to get you to purchase a new device instead
Yep.
of repair your old one.
correct.
His videos often draw millions of views. We brought him the computer that the Apple store in Toronto said was not worth fixing.
Have a seat.
So this is a MacBook Pro that the Apple store said it cost $1,200 to fix and wasn't worth doing.
All right, let's take a look and see if that's true. You can see the Apple logo there?
Yeah.
And watch, if I take a light and I put it through there, you'll actually be able to see everything on the screen. So this is my microscope light. And when I put it right through here, you can see that there's a cursor
Yep.
there and that it's moving. So
So
most
it's
of the screen
working.
is working properly. It's just that the backlight is not working. This could be either due to a bad screen, a bad motherboard, bad cable. We'll figure that out once we open it up. Alright, so let's take a look on the inside of this. Now, this is where the screen is going to connect to the computer. Okay. So the first thing I'd want to do is examine that area of it to see what it looks like.
Exactly.
So you can see the pin that's sticking out?
Okay.
So that pin is actually most likely the pin for the backlight.
So I just want to reiterate here, you can see the pin is bent for the LED backlight for the display, hence why you wasn't getting a screen. Now, if Apple were going to replace the logic board, they'd have to pull this cable out anyway. So they would see this as a problem. What's to say that they wouldn't just fix that problem and then claim they've replaced everything else and still charge you $1,200? At best, he'll straighten that pin. At worst, new cable. Or, you know, Apple being Apple, in order to replace the cable you have to separate the screen frame, which is glued together on most modern MacBooks. So they'd probably replace the whole screen. So even if they replace the whole screen at $780, that's still a lot less than $1,200 or even $2,000 that they were quoting for the whole repair in the first place. So let's go back to this and see what the outcome is.
And as you can see, it's probably not making contact because it's bent outwards.
Exactly. So first thing I would do is straighten that pin and try it.
Push that back into the slot and try to get it back into its groove so that when I re-plug in the connector it'll work.
At the Apple Store, they suggested this was water damage.
Well, you can see that there are water indicators that have turned red, so that's why they got that idea, and they're by the battery. So this is a water indicator, and these turn red when they see liquid. However, the thing here is that these not only turn red when they see liquid, they also turn red anytime there's humidity. So if you have this in a very humid room, all of these sensors will turn even if you've never spilled liquid on the machine.
Exactly.
All right, so let's plug this back in and hope for the best. Alright, as you can see, we've got an Apple.
There you go.
So it's fixed.
Yeah, now...
That took you like 1.5 minutes?
Maybe.
So if I walked in off the street with this problem, what would you charge for the repair you just did?
If somebody wanted me to just bend the pin back, I wouldn't charge them for that. I would say, I'm going to rework your original cable. That may not last long term, but here, it's free. If they wanted us to replace the cable, depending on the model, anywhere from $75 to $150, depending on the difficulty of opening that model. But something like this, we wouldn't charge for it. And
which is
99%
a very fair
of the time,
price.
just bending the pin back, it'll allow it to last until
As you can see, that logic board is absolutely fine. Didn't need replacing.
To respond to this incident.
This is going to cost more than $1,000.
To fix it entirely will cost more than $1,000?
Yeah.
And to the widespread allegations of similar corporate behavior. They declined to provide a spokesman, but issued a statement claiming their customers are best served by Apple's certified experts using...
Certified experts? Well, they're clearly not, are they? If they couldn't diagnose a bent pin, they're clearly not experts.
Genuine parts. They denied systematically overestimating repair costs. How often do people show up here with the Apple Store telling them it can't be fixed or it's too expensive to fix?
Somewhere between 10 and 30 times a day.
No kidding.
Yeah.
10 and 30 times a day. So that's all on that video. If you want to watch the full thing, I suggest you look at Louis Rossmann on YouTube and look at his component level repair videos. They are very good. They have taught me a lot and helped me learn stuff on doing component level repairs, which I have successfully completed some for customers, which is very, very good. So I highly recommend you watch his videos. And also, it's funny because shortly after that CBC new piece went out, he got some of his Apple parts seized at the border. So Apple are basically in the government's back pocket, and he has had over $1,200 worth of batteries seized at the border, claiming they are counterfeit. Now this is a very annoying tactic of Apple. Say I bought a MacBook completely genuine, and it had a dead logic board. The battery was alright. I take that battery out and I sell that battery. Now, that battery is an official, genuine battery out of an official MacBook. I sell that, and that could be seized at the border because it's got an Apple logo on it, and they'll think it's counterfeit, when in fact it is not. Apple are also doing the same things with EDID codes on screens. Screens would work fine for months, replacement screens, from the same manufacturer, LG, and then all of a sudden a software update and the screens would no longer run anymore. Oh no, the only place you can then get it fixed is by Apple. They did the same with Error 53, where if you'd replace the home button in the iPhone 6, the phone would work fine for months, and as soon as an update happened, you get Error 53. No way of restoring it. The only way you could get the phone back at the time was if you had the original home button to put it back in. Apple claims this was for security, but I call BS on that, because if it was for security, it would have stopped working the moment you put that part in. The fact the phone worked for months prior to that says it all. If it was security, the phone would have checked on boot and not allowed the phone to continue. That was not the case. It was done with software updates. The same with the throttling issue, to try and cover Apple's design flaws, with the 6S battery, for instance. You know, that was shutting down at like 30% because the battery wasn't capable of outputting the correct voltage to the CPU, so therefore it unexpectedly shut down. Now, this was happening on phones that were sometimes not even a year old. Sometimes some would be over a year old, but to actually throttle the device down to make it seem like it's fixed and working is completely wrong. They shouldn't be doing that. That's a complete kick in the teeth to customers, in my opinion. They should have recalled the devices and put them right. That is what they should have done. And I know some people are going to say, oh, what about Samsung with their exploding batteries with the Galaxy Note 7? Well, they did a recall. They thought they'd fixed it, sent it out again, did a recall again. And what did they do that was different to Apple? They held their hands up. They admitted their mistakes. They admitted they was wrong. They would even give you a full refund and money towards a new phone, or they'd even replace your phone from a phone manufacturer of choice. Hell, they'd even supply you an iPhone if that's what you wanted. Now, to me, that is good customer service. They held their hands up, they got it wrong. When Apple gets it wrong, they blame the customer, and the customer 9 times out of 10 just accepts it, or it takes lawsuits to get Apple to force to do a repair program. They did similar with the laptop, the MacBooks a few years ago, where you'd have a GPU failure. And it was happening really commonly. I saw it quite a bit, and the Apple store said nothing wrong, nothing wrong. And it took a class action lawsuit to get them to address that issue. And again, how they addressed the issue was wrong. They basically said in order to qualify for the GPU replacement, the machine had to be able to turn on and pass diagnostic. Now with GPU errors or GPU malfunctions, they can manifest in all sorts of different ways, from artifacting on the screen to allowing the machine not to even power up at all. So basically, if you had a MacBook that would not turn on, was stone cold dead, Apple would refuse to acknowledge it, and they would say, basically, buy another one. Completely wrong. But if your machine came on and had artifacts on the screen and I was able to run the diagnostic, you'd be eligible for a logic board replacement. So they got out of jail free again, basically, with that. Completely and utterly wrong. That's not how you treat your customers. If small business owners like myself, Lewis Rossmann, Jessa Jones, treated our customers like that, we wouldn't be in business very long. Apple have got themselves so big, they're now valued at over $1 trillion, and they have over 350 billion in the bank. In the UK, they pay 0.5% in tax, where us lot pay 20-40% tax. So because they're a big company, big corporation, they get better tax rates. And how do they treat their customers? Like absolute dirt. And they're, seizing people's parts at the border to stop third-party repairers repairing stuff. Now Apple, if you simply sold us the parts, if you sold us the Horizon machine, and sold us the home buttons, so we could officially repair the products to your specification, then that would be great. But you don't even allow Apple authorized service providers to have some of this stuff. You want a battery? Oh no, we can't do that. That has to be sent away, or you have to take it to an Apple store. If you sold genuine batteries to consumers, Lenovo do, Dell do, HP do, near enough every manufacturer that has a battery allows you to replace it yourself. And the same with phone parts. As Lewis Rossmann has mentioned in other videos, I can go to Samsung, a Samsung authorised supplier of Samsung parts, and I can get any part 100% genuine. So if I want something for a Galaxy S8, for instance, there we go, I've got coaxial antenna, I've got data cable, I've got various other antennas. I want to get a battery. Now how much would it cost for me to get a battery? See, if you send the device to Samsung, they'll probably charge you 70 to 80 quid. Fair enough. If you're competent in replacing the battery yourself, 23.24 euros. I can get the official genuine parts for other manufacturers. And things like schematics and things like that Apple don't let you have to help aid you in repairing stuff, because they'd rather replace everything that costs more than a 20 cents resistor. But even the likes of Lenovo will give you diagrams. So if we look at this is Lenovo's official website. Say I want to look at the Idea Flex 14, 15. I can open a PDF. And it brings up everything you need to know, like grounding requirements, safety notices. If we scroll down, where to get the recovery discs from. If I keep going down the page, removing and replacing parts, tells you where the screw locations are, tells you where the memory modules are, where the wireless card is, that's right, where the fan assembly is. This is all on Lenovo's own website. They are giving you all of the instructions you need. All the ribbon layouts and everything. Why can't Apple do the same? Lenovo do it. Dell do it. It's completely and utterly wrong the way they treat their customers. It really is horrendous. People need to start standing up and voting with their wallet. I'm not saying don't buy Apple products. If you've got an Apple product and you're happy with it, fine. But if you get a bad experience, don't just take it. Don't say, oh, I'll just buy another one. Because that's why Apple are getting away with what they're getting away with. Because they know people will buy it no matter what. They'll get screwed over and they'll go back and they'll buy again. Now, I want to talk about one of my customers that had an experience with Apple. They had a mid-2011 iMac that had the AMD graphics card. The AMD graphics card died. He rang me up. He lives nowhere near me, so he rang me up and said he had no choice but to go buy another machine. Fine. He then had someone transfer the data for him, and he then asked me to have a look at it because it was out of warranty at the time. So I had a look at it. I ran my diagnostics. And then I decided, well, hang on a minute. Let's check online. And sure enough, there was a recall notice for certain mid-2011 iMacs that had, that had been recalled for the GPU. I thought, great. I rang my customer and told him, I said, I'll take the machine for you to the Apple store as I've got it with me. I'll get it all repaired for you and take it back. Only because it was under the recall, otherwise I'd have just repaired it myself. And this is what happened. I took it into the Apple store. I explained to the genius, or so-called genius, what the problem was. I told him I'd ran my own diagnostics on it. And granted, he said, well, you shouldn't have really done that. You should have just brought it straight to us. I told him what the problem was. And he says, yes, no, it is on the recall list and everything else. Fine. He said he'd let it slide as long as all of the screws and everything were where they were originally. I said, everything is as it should be. I've repaired loads of machines over the years. I do not I'm talking about. I told him it wasn't a problem with the power supply and it was a problem with the GPU. He told me, I told him when you disconnected the GPU, the machine would power on. Obviously you wouldn't get a display or anything, but the machine, you'd get fan spin and the machine would come up. The Genius Bar said, no, it's got to be a power supply problem. I said, fine, whatever. They said, well, we'll take it out of the back and we'll give you a call when it's ready. I was like, okay. So I get a call that evening to say they'd plugged a test power supply in that they had and that it was working. I thought, that doesn't seem right. I said, well, does that mean I can come and collect it then? And they said, oh no, we've got to order the power supply in. I said, okay. So 3 days later, I get a call again from Apple to say they've put a power supply in and it still doesn't work. I said, it's funny, your previous Genius tech told me that the machine had powered on with a test power supply. And they said, oh, we don't know anything about that. I was like, what? Don't you communicate with each other there? I said, I told the techs at the Genius Bar that it was the graphics card. And he goes, yep, no, that's what we're going to do next. We're going to replace the graphics card. We've got one in stock, so that's what we're going to do, and we'll call you back and let you know. Sure enough, they call me back and say, yep, the machine is ready to collect. I then say, when you check the power supply, did you actually check the logic board for diagnostic LEDs? They said, yes, there was none. I said, okay, fine. I knew that wasn't true because I have photographic evidence, which I'll show you in a second. But, I didn't want to argue over the phone. I thought, I'm going to go into the Apple store and I am going to keep my cool and I'm going to talk to a manager. I got there. They brought the machine out along with a bill of over £700. And I had a look. There was a power supply on there, which I was being charged for, and a GPU, which I was being charged for. I was like, no. I said there was nothing wrong with the original power supply. Oh, yes, there was. They said there was no diagnostic LED. I said, well, your guy told me that, he'd put a power supply in a test one, and it worked. I knew that wasn't the case. He goes, we don't keep test power supplies. So I said, why are you lying to me? I then decided to say that I know for a fact that diagnostic LED was on. He goes, well, it wasn't. So I pull out my phone and I bring up this image showing the logic board has got a diagnostic LED. Now, when diagnostic LED 1 is on, that means there is trickle power from the power supply to the logic board. The logic board has identified the power supply and that light is on. Now if you boot the machine up and you put it to sleep, that light will go out. So if you pull the power lead out, put it back in, it will come on. If LED 2 is lit with 1, that means the PC is on. And if you have 3 on, that also means that it's detected the video card and is working. If you get LED, you need all 4 LEDs for it to be functioning properly. And LED 4 means that the LCD is detected and present. As you can see, this machine was stone cold dead. It wouldn't do anything apart from give me this LED. I tested the power rails and everything else, and they were fine. There was a problem with a short on the graphics card, hence why the machine wouldn't switch on. Most likely due to BGA balls under the GPU being detached and shorting, causing this problem. As soon as I disconnected the graphics card, this was before I took it to Apple, which is how I was able to determine the problem. As soon as I disconnected the graphics card and switched it on, I got diagnostic LED 2, which meant the PC was coming on. So the problem was most likely going to be the graphics card. Apple categorically denied this, and when I went in and I showed Apple this footage, they went, "What certifications have you got?" They started going completely nuts. "What certifications have you got?" I said, "I've been doing component level repair and all of this lot. I'm repairing computers for years." "Oh no, you have no right to do that. We can actually take this machine off you now," is what they said to me. And I said, "No, you can't." I said, "That's got customer data on there." I said, "If you take that machine out the back and refuse to hand it back, I'll have you done for breaching the Data Protection Act." He said, "Right, I'm just going to go out the back for a minute." And he did. So he must have given someone a bollocking, and he came out and said no charge for the repair. I said, "Thank you very much," because I was getting ready to say, "Well, we'll take legal action on this because you've outrightly lied." But he says, "We have noted the serial number of the machine down and we will not be touching it ever again." I said, "That is absolutely fine." Now this was in 2016 and the machine is still working to this day. Complete disregard for customers and trying to rip them off. They tried to charge me for a GPU that was on the recall list. It's madness. When I pointed out that it was on the recall list, they was like, "Oh, because you've tampered with it." No, I haven't tampered with it. I've diagnosed the issue correctly, which you lot don't seem to be able to do. It is completely and utterly wrong. If you have a bad experience, let me know your experiences down in the comments down below, because I'd like to know. I mean, I've heard stories from many of my customers, and I've had to sort them out. But I'd like to know your personal experiences. If you've had good experiences, that's great. If you've had bad experiences, also not good, but let me know. If I was shafted by a company, say I got shafted by Samsung, I wouldn't buy from them again. I'm not a fan to any brand. If they make good products and have good aftercare service and don't rip people off, they are a company I will support. But I will not support a company that has complete disregard for customers, complete disrespect for customers, and won't even repair certain machines. So like a 2011 MacBook Pro has a knackered battery. That's now considered vintage by Apple. Take it to Apple. No, we won't repair it. Buy a new one. The 2011 MacBook Pro is still a very capable machine with a solid state drive. Nothing wrong with it at all. But no, because Apple won't sell you a battery or even fit a battery for you in a 2011 machine because it's now classed as vintage, you're out of luck. So third-party repairers have to go online and find batteries to replace them with. I've got a third-party replacement battery in my MacBook Pro, which runs Linux. I don't run the Mac OS, and it's the last MacBook Pro I'll ever buy. It's a 2012. It was fully upgradable, apart from the graphics card and the processor, obviously, but I can upgrade the RAM, I can upgrade the hard drive, I can upgrade to an SSD, which I've got. I've got a 1TB SSD, and I've got a 2TB hard drive in my MacBook Pro 2012. That was what was great. They were well made. But now it's all thinness. It's all about thinness. Glue everything in so you can't fix it. I mean, the newer MacBooks, to replace the battery, you have to replace the entire top case. Madness. That is poor engineering. Batteries should be replaceable. And if Apple is saying your machine is vintage and won't replace it, then Apple don't stop other people from repairing them. If you're not prepared to, fine, but don't stop and start suing people that are prepared to do the job that you will not do, because that is not on. It is completely and utterly wrong. Now, just to finish up on this video, I suggest you take a look at Louis Rossmann and the excellent work he does. And also, you know, he's an advocate for right to repair. And I'd also highly recommend you look at Jessa Jones, the owner of iPad Rehab, who also does component level repairs on iPhones and iPads. And you can actually, if you type Jessa Jones in, you can watch the live interview with Jessa Jones and Apple Custom Parts Seizure, because she's had the same happen to her as Louis Rossmann's had to her. She has sent, sorry, no, not she has sent, she has had her parts seized. So say, for instance, you've got an original iPhone screen with a broken glass. It's from an official iPhone, that's what came with the phone, but the glass is broken. You send that screen away to have just the glass layer replaced, because the digitizer and the LCD layer are fine. They replace the glass layer and ship it back to you. Now, customs see that and immediately think, oh, it's got an Apple logo on the ribbon cable. It's counterfeit. Seize it. Completely and utterly wrong. It's still a genuine screen. And third-party repairers wouldn't buy third-party screens. They would be more than happy to buy the parts from Apple if Apple were to sell the parts. There are some shoddy repairers out there, but there are decent ones like Louis Rossmann, me, Jessa Jones and many others out there. So don't tarnish us all with the same brush. Apple, you really need to wake up, because I know for a fact Louis Rossmann won't take this lying down, and if you try and pull this stunt with me, I will not take this lying down. Everyone needs to get together and share these videos. I think CBC need to do another interview and cover this again, because it is not on, and I can't stand seeing customers treated the way they are, and repair technicians too. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much for watching, but before I go, please do check out Louis Rossmann and check out Jessa Jones for the great work they do, and support them in right to repair. We should be able to repair our own stuff. We can with cars, although we didn't used to be able to, but that was changed. So why should Apple be any different, or any manufacturer that thinks it's okay to behave like this? It is not. We need to all stand up as the world. So not just one country, several countries. We all need to stand up to these big bully corporations and tell them, no, we're not going to tolerate this. You need to start treating your customers with respect and start selling us the parts, genuine parts. So if you're not prepared to do the repair, then let other people that are prepared to. You talk about being all green and friendly with parts and environmentally friendly. Well, how is throwing a whole machine away because of a dead logic board that's probably just got a problem with a resistor or a chip? That's landfill, and it's a complete waste. Enough rant for today anyways. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.